So we'll start with our first session, and this is on new realities of global supply chains, challenges, strategies, exploring reshoring, trade barriers, and digital transformation. US President Donald Trump's proposed tariffs are poised to significantly impact global trade and supply chain. Companies seeking alternative suppliers may experience delays where lead times could increase by 5 to 15%. Profitability may also be affected by elevated cost of raw materials and components. Will this lead to nearshoring and reshoring, where companies relocate manufacturing closer to home, something similar to what we saw in the aftermath of the COVID pandemic? Can digital transformation ensure smooth inventory build-up in the near term to buffer against supply chain disruptions? Will this finally lead to supplier diversification, something that had started out post the COVID pandemic? Ladies and gentlemen, please put your hands together and welcome on stage our esteemed speakers in this session. Please welcome our moderator, Dr. Lakshmanan R, Senior Partner, NCA. He's a seasoned consultant and thought leader in business transformation. Mr. Lakshmanan empowers companies with actionable insights and agile execution. A trusted advisor to governments and corporates alike. Please give a round of applause. Joining him on stage are our speakers in this session. Please welcome Mr. Suresh Vedanathan, CEO, Dasan Abud Group. Please give a round of applause and welcome Suresh Vedanathan on stage. Please welcome Siddhi Joshi, CEO, eMovers. Please welcome on stage Aditya Vikram Kapoor, Head of International Sales, DTDC, and Mr. Tapan Vaidya, Group Chief Executive Officer, Papa Joy. Please give a round of applause to all our speakers on stage. I'd like to inform everyone that we have 40 minutes for this discussion and we're looking forward to all your thoughts. I'll hand over to Mr. Lakshmanan to steer this conversation.
Assalamu alaikum. Good afternoon, dignitaries, ladies and gentlemen, our guest of honor, Srimati Meenakshi Lekhi, and rest of our delegates here. It gives me immense honor to moderate this session, especially in the back of IMEC corridor, which was announced by the Honorable Prime Minister of India in the 2023 summit, G20 summit, which was held in India. And this IMEC corridor, which will be flowing through India, Middle East, and Europe, a new corridor, which will open a lot of opportunities. We have esteemed speakers today, and let me briefly introduce them to start with. Siddhi Joshi, CEO of eMovers, the only logistics CEO in the Middle East. Aditya Vikram Kapoor, Head of International DTDC, a very large organization from India which has significant presence internationally as well in the logistics space, 25 years of international experience and 13 in UAE itself. Tapan Vaidya, Group CEO, PJP Investments, that is Papa John, famous pizza. Tapan has been in the business for the last 40 plus years in restaurants and has handled multiple brands across the world. Suresh Vaidyanathan, CEO of Dasan Group, currently developing a project on food security in Abu Dhabi, Kizad, and Aden, the most group. Today, this conference of people together is very timely for a number of reasons. One is, post-COVID, we have had this broken supply chain. We are probably now used to this broken supply chain to an extent. Tariff wars, which has recently started, and reciprocal tariffs are being established by the various governments, starting with the US. Currency volatility, which is happening, which is impacting businesses. US dollar is 3-year low very recently in terms of currency, and UAE dirham is pegged to the dollar, and so the GCC countries as well, except Kuwait, which has got a basket of currencies. We have a looming global recession. This is a bit of the background. At the same time, UAE recently declared the trade flows, and UAE's current trade is valued about 5.23 trillion dirhams. And this has grown about 49% compared to 2021 levels. And UAE today is contributing 2.5% of the global trade, which is more relevant here, not only from an IMEC corridor perspective, but also from a global trade perspective. Since 2021, as part of the government's vision and strategy, UAE has also been signing a number of bilateral CEPA agreements, which are the comprehensive economic partnership agreements. And these agreements today are 26 agreements have been signed with various countries, with India being the first, and which is completed in a record time of 88 odd days. So the CEPA's targets for non-oil trade is to be about $100 billion by 2030, and I believe we have already reached about close to $75 billion in that. The current trade level of oil and non-oil trade put together between India and UAE is about $100 billion. So that visionary step which was taken by CEPA is helping, and again we will dwell with our esteemed panelists how that is impacting their businesses. We also are aware that India is setting up in partnership with the DP World JAFSA, the Bharat Mart, which is a significant initiative. And again, there may be opportunities along those. Last but not the least, India's population in UAE is somewhere about 4.3 billion, and the number has only been growing in size. And I think if you add the floating population of tourists together, at any point in time, I believe somewhere Indian population is tend to be about 5 million or so. So with that background, let me move to my esteemed panelists. And let me start with the ladies first, with Siddhi Joshi. Siddhi is in the logistics sector, CEO of Movers, as I said earlier, and she has been reshaping the logistics industry over the last 2 decades. And she has won numerous awards. Siddhi, my first question to you, you are in the logistics industry, connecting from UAE, within UAE and internationally. With the current changes, what is happening globally, and UAE being a country where trade is flourishing, despite all what's happening around the world, how do you see this impact of CEPA on your business in terms of the logistics sector?
Good afternoon. Thank you so much for having me. I'm really honored. And when we talk about the overall growth, what we had seen, as per the last survey done by Emirates NBD, storage and transportation business alone is contributing as the second largest component in UAE growth. So it's really great to know that. And while we are seeing UAE becoming second home for many expats with multiple benefits like golden visas and aids to business for entrepreneurs like us, many expats are preferring to come here, buy their properties, and one research we had done, with every year increasing population, the property purchases has been also increased, let's say from post-COVID, where 21, when we say it was increased by 9.25%, 22, it was increased by 9.83, and especially in 23 and 24, it has increased 20%, which means people are feeling more comfortable here to think here forever, maybe. And this is impacting global business for us also, where we are helping people to come from any part of the world. And when we talk about local also, people are moving from rental properties to their own property. And this is not only impacting our businesses moving and storage, it is having positive ripple effect on many other industries. So when we talk about real estate, that is booming. When we talk about our own business, yes, we have also grown in multiple folds. When we talk about interior, that is also growing. And the ripple impact is allowing us not only to grow in residential, but in commercial also. Because people are buying properties here, now we are seeing the most of our warehousing spaces are occupied by retail furniture retail. So when one thing grows, definitely all others are also getting benefit, and we are blessed to be there in the supply chain. Thank you.
Thank you, Sydney. I think that is, look at the knock-on effect which is having on multiple businesses. Probably Sydney's business will see the pulse of people moving in and moving out from UAE being a transient place. Thank you for that. Next we move on to Aditya Vikram Kapoor, Head of International DTDC. You are in the logistics space, very large player in India, and as well as internationally across UAE, USA, Canada, UK, and etc. How do you see this IMEC corridor possibly helping you in terms of growth, as well as the SEPA, because we all hear that, particularly in terms of certain products like textile, jewelry, and etc., there's a significant demand. Could you share some thoughts on that?
I think a very pertinent question. Good evening, everyone. Thank you so much for taking out the time to be here today. First, let's understand what my co-panelist Cindy was just mentioning, and a very pertinent point, right? If we look at the diaspora and the demographic expansion from India to the world, that has been increasing at a rapid pace, right? I think earlier in one of the sessions we just heard that the doctors here and such key professionals are now coming from Indian origin. What does that tell us? That tells us that there is a large expansion happening wherein people from Indian ethnicities are moving across the globe. Now, one, that's from an India standpoint. Two, that also showcases that countries like UAE and similar are opening their gates for such professionals coming into their countries and then creating this ecosystem. What as an organization we have witnessed, like you rightly said, we've been there in the international space for 25 years, is that this, since the time that we specifically signed the SEPA and the FTA with Dubai and UAE, our movement to this part of the world has continued to see tremendous progress, specifically from the aspect of initiatives which are happening in our country, wherein we are trying to empower MSMEs to get access to these destinations. There's a large demand of categories like you rightly mentioned, textile, artificial jewelry, and such other commodities which are coming up at a rapid pace. If you look at what is happening within India today, our government is focusing on export e-commerce hubs. That exactly is on the basis of the kind of agreements that they are signing with countries like the one that we are in today. So all in all, if you ask me, the time that we are in right now, I think it couldn't be a better time for us from a supply chain perspective, because the way the world is transitioning to, I mean, our friends in some countries are getting into certain actions which might not be very lucrative for us as an overall industry. But then from a Southeast Asia standpoint, from this part of the world perspective, I think this is just the start. The glory days are yet to come.
Thank you, Aditya. My next question is to Suresh. Suresh, you have been in the region, a veteran, a top Forbes 100 CEO for a couple of years. You've seen a number of businesses where you had family businesses, public-private partnership. I am aware that you're doing a large food security project in Abu Dhabi for the Ghassan Abood Group at the AD ports at Kizad. Supply chain is even more critical in doing this food security. And I'm sure there are a lot of challenges when you are still in the project execution stage. How do you see this currently developing in this, and also you're developing wholesale food markets? Could you share your thoughts on that?
Yeah, good evening, everyone. Fantastic evening. Thank you for inviting me to this event. To just set the context, the amount of food that is lost or wasted annually is almost equal to $1 trillion. And this can feed almost 2 billion people. The food that is produced and wasted or lost can feed 2 billion people across the world. And right now, almost 800 plus million people don't have proper access to food. So this is the size of the challenge one faces when it comes to food supply chain. And it is also an opportunity for supply chain professionals to work on, and over the next few years to see like how this can be gradually eliminated. So our project is, it's a significant project. It's about 3 square kilometers of whole full-fledged food ecosystem that's being developed in Abu Dhabi. It's a public-private partnership. It's a modern wholesale market. So it's going to house all food categories in one place. So therefore, it is part of the food security project as well. The idea here will be to try and develop new origins where products can come into UAE. But given the fact that UAE is already an established reach global markets as well. And being a greenfield project, we are able to bring in the advantage when it comes to design, when it comes to the cold chain systems, deploying the latest technology to ensure that there is as much food loss, we minimize that as much as possible, as well as provide people access to markets on a very optimal basis.
Thank you, Suresh. Very insightful. My next question is to Tapan Vaidyaji, who has been in the restaurant business. Virtually, I think from his university days, he has been loving being in the food business. Last 40 plus years. Papa John's has about 150 stores, Tapan. You are across UAE, Saudi, Jordan, I think now into India as well. You have run multiple brands in the QSR space across several countries. You are importing quite a number of ingredients, being an American brand coming from there. You're operating in multiple markets. What are your current challenges, Tapan?
Many. So, Papa John's, as many of you would know, is the third largest pizza brand in the world. There are 6,000 plus restaurants operating around the world. I am the group CEO at PJP Investments. We own and operate about 150 restaurants in the UAE, Saudi Arabia, and Jordan. And soon we are entering India, which is a huge project in itself. We are going to develop 650 restaurants in 10 years, starting this September, starting with the South Indian city of Bangalore. So that's a huge project in itself. Now, when a restaurant chain such as Papa John's wants to live up to its brand promise, which in our case is BIP, which stands for Better Ingredients, Better Pizza, we have to make sure that every restaurant in every city, in every country in the world, is serving consistently the same quality. In order to achieve that, obviously systems and processes have to be in place, but equally, we have to make sure we are sourcing the right ingredients from the right vendors across geographies around the world. And that is where the challenges start. But it also means that, like someone said earlier today, supply chain as a function is very much in my boardroom. It is not a backdoor function. Because if supply chain fails, if I don't get cheese at the right temperature, in the right quantity, at the right restaurant, in time, I have nothing to sell. Disaster. We must avoid that. So challenges galore. I think every challenge that you normally face in supply chain, we face and we try and build systems to overcome them. Gone are the days when globalization was in its infancy and everything seemed to work well. Everyone worked on just-in-time principles. No more. A lot of planning goes into place. A lot of systems have to be set in order for us to beat every problem that constantly gets thrown towards us. Now, this India, UAE, Saudi, and Europe corridor is of great significance for us because not only we cater amongst all nationalities here and in Saudi Arabia, we also cater to the Indian diaspora. We have a makhni sauce pizza, we have pizza with toppings like paneer. Now, we import some of these from India, and so SEPA obviously helps us. Equally, when we will launch our operations in India, we will create a menu meant for India. We are not going to parachute a menu from the United States into India. That doesn't work. So we will create menu items meant for the Indian consumer. We'll work with local vendors in India. We'll do the R&D required. And then we will one day even introduce those same menu items here for the Indian diaspora. So this corridor is of great significance for us.
Thank you, Tapan. My next question is to Siddhi. We've heard this concepts of, reshoring, nearshoring, all of this, and the IT services industry business, But these concepts are now coming even to the supply chain, industry. I think today, if you talk from a tariff perspective, UAE has a 10% tariff, but the impact of the US tariffs on, UAE. We are seeing an interesting trend of organizations from other parts of the world, particularly from India as well, wanting to set up base here and perhaps do a bit of manufacturing. Are you seeing any impact, Siddhi, in terms of that in your business, or is it a bit early for you?
When you are telling that many people are planning to have their base set here, I believe in my first question, yes, I had replied on that question, that because of the complete support from government here and the ease of doing business, also the swiftness when we are seeing here, we are seeing great increase in the import shipment. So when we are running our business, we used to earlier see the trend whether we are doing great in terms of export or we are doing great in terms of import. But now when we are seeing, my data says that every year minimum 100,000 people are moving in here. So which itself is a huge number. And when they are coming here, definitely, as I mentioned earlier, many other industries are also getting advantage of that.
So, yeah.
Thank you. Aditya, you may have been part of the India's mission of sending vaccine to the world as an entity, like many other entities. Unless you use technology, which the Indian government, I think, has been using, India stack has been built and etc. How do you see from your business perspective, especially AI being used in terms of helping your business?
Yeah, I think, I mean, it's a given, right? We can't get off that train. AI is there. It's either you accept it and adapt to it, or you kind of miss out the bus. In our way of working and the way we operate, at least from an international standpoint and within India and how we empower MSMEs, there is a lot of implementation that Gen AI has brought into us. The way our operational network operates from where it was a couple of years ago and how it has evolved today, ensuring that we have brought in flexibilities of bringing in 2 days deliveries to 2 hours, our approach to rapid commerce. I mean, I don't know if how many of you are following what's happening in India today, but there is a sudden surge of quick commerce there. But then at the same time, the question that is being brought up is everything actually needed that quick? Do you actually need a fridge to be delivered to you within 10 minutes? It might just be good enough to be sent to you maybe in 2 hours or 5 hours or at max a day, right? So there is definitely a sustainable approach which has to be implemented when it comes to tech. To answer your question, yes, it has already started seeping into the way we work. Not now, but it has been there for almost 2-3 years or a lot more. Will it continue to evolve? Yes, it will, because if we do not bring in Gen AI, bring in such perspectives in the way we operate, one from a network standpoint and two from a go-to-market perspective, customers like Papa John and everyone who intends to open 650 QSRs in the country, we would not be able to cater to such needs. So it's just the need of the hour. Yeah.
Thank you. Suresh, you have been involved with several public-private partnerships in terms of business. Now, how do you see in this supply chain industry, public partnerships can be driven, and how to make this supply chain resilient? Can you share your thoughts?
Now, I think the trend is nowadays, to create more collaborative systems. So what happens when things are fragmented is that there are multiple players from the side of the government and then on the private sector on the other side, sometimes even competing for the same piece of business. So when you create a public-private partnership, so you are actually leveraging on the respective strengths of the public sector on one side and the private sector on the other side. The public sector coming in with the infrastructure, the connectivity, enabling regulations, get ease of doing business, things like that. And the private sector with its own typical agility, because normally the private sector is more oriented towards a commercial outcome for the investments, as well as importantly the industry domain knowledge. So when these things come together, the chances are that the outcome is much more successful. So when it comes to the supply chain, for example, there are various elements. If you take any product from origin to the final customer, so there are several points across the supply chain. And each of these are kind of dominated by players. So they could be government, or they could be like a port, for example. Or they could be like logistics company, which manage from the private sector, being part of the supply chain. So when you create a significant partnership, it can deliver the project in a much more efficient way. At the same time, it avoids duplication of investment and meets the socio-economic ambition of the respective country.
Thank you. Tapan, you are dealing with retail customers through your stores, through your call centers, to everywhere else. And I think there is a very famous this thing when, you start calling your, well, not necessarily you, there is a joke that, the person on the other end, the caller who's taking the call exactly knows what type of pizza, you order on which date and etc. Look, how much of digital transformation you are going through to enhance your customer experience, and that would help your business?
Also, technology is a big boon for pretty much every industry, but especially I know from the perspective of restaurant industry, technology is really big. We have taken a number of initiatives across our markets. I'll talk about one of them, using artificial intelligence. Now, personally, I believe in AI not for the sake of AI, but if AI is going to augment your business, if AI is going to add value to the business, then it is important. And so what we've done is we have engaged with an artificial intelligence algorithm. What we do is CCTV feeds from all our restaurants are uploaded to this algorithm, and every day at day end, we receive various reports, analysis, but also show reels, video, telling us where things are going right and where things are going wrong. For example, one of the reports I get is average customer waiting time in a queue. We have restaurants in malls, food courts, where customers queue up to place orders. Now, there was no way of knowing how long, on an average, a customer waits across hundreds of restaurants. But now, I do, because the AI camera, the camera sends the feeds, the algorithm actually identifies when someone entered the queue and when he was attended to, and that the camera tracks for every customer who joins the queue. So every morning I know what was the average waiting time for a customer the previous day. Now things like, when you go into a busy restaurant, the previous customer has left, but his dirty plates are still on the table. If you are the incoming customer, you won't like that. Now this camera feed tells me in which restaurant, which table was not cleaned for 3 minutes or more. So I immediately know which area manager, which restaurant manager to brief, and so on and forth. Sometimes somebody in the kitchen is in a hurry, comes from outside. Ideally, he should be washing hands before touching any food or surface in the kitchen. If they don't wash their hands, the camera picks it up. So again, we will know. So these small things go a long way in helping us improve not only our quality, but the service we extend to our customers.
Thank you, Tapan. In the interest of time, I want to open up questions for the audience. Can somebody pass a mic around? Audience, you have any questions? I have loads of questions to ask, but since we are already running late, any questions from the audience? Feel free to put up your hands and identify yourself and ask a question. Anybody has a question? Okay, right, I continue my discussions. Siddhi, I went through your website. The moment I hit your website, it popped up and said, AI pricing. And I said, wow. I'm sure you're doing many things like that. Could you talk about the digital transformation through which you are, enabling to enhance the customer experience?
We were having some very interesting session post-COVID, where, they were asking what exactly measures we need to do as a company. So, many meetings, we recruited external coaches. After so many
hard work, exercise, we actually came to a conclusion that life is actually very simple. We don't need to make it very complicated. And we came up with our own version called CCTV ST. So to make very easy for all the line managers across, we gave them training that no matter what situation you are in, these are the basics. If you really take care of, it will take care of you forever. So what do we mean by this abbreviation when we say C? Always we want to make sure that customer-centric approach we are doing. Cost management is always our priority, not reduction, but management. When we talk about T, team management, we talk about V, really visibility is very important, and followed by ST, where we said anything we work on, it needs to be sustainable, and we need to really in line with technology. And all our meetings we started running with this, and that is where when we were discussing about AI, first we had done that all the team members were educated that we are introducing AI as a tool to transform everybody's life, to make your work easy. It is not introduced to replace anyone here. That emotional balancing was very important. And later on, what we had done, when we realized that now team is geared up, that is where now you are seeing on my website that there is AI chatbot, and it is helping us to reply our customers' query 24 hours. And not only AI, but technology enhancement, we had done it in our real life business also, where we are the only company having UV sanitization room, which means all the packing material what we are using, those are being sanitized, and then we are sending it at any houses and offices. So technology is having deeper meaning for us. Thank you.
Thank you. Now let me put the esteemed panelists in a bit of a spotlight. Obviously lots happening now in the world. What is your take on where would this tariff wars end up? How things would change? What is your views? Any of you want to go?
Yeah, a very touchy topic to speak on, but I think this is just the start. This is going to go on, right? How it will shape out to be is anyone's guess. But from a perspective of what it means for India, what it means for UAE, and what it means for us as two countries is just it's a golden opportunity, if you ask me, right? My esteemed panelists just spoke of AI and how each of them are trying to implement in trying to bring this. I'll just give you some perspective on how this tariff might just play a very important aspect in how international space evolves. I was just looking at some data, and the CEP market currently in India today, there are roughly 10,000 odd B2C MSMEs who do send out shipments from India to UAE and such other countries. Till date, the CEP market, almost 45-47% of the volume is US bound. Let me just address the elephant in the room. But what we have started to witness is that these MSME exporters are now slowly and eventually starting to realize that there is a world beyond US. There are destinations where there is demand, there are regions where our commodities are needed. Whether it was ignored, whether it was not looked at, that's in the past, but it is being looked at now. If you just follow the current volumes that have been coming into UAE, Dubai, Saudi, Riyadh over the last couple of months from India, you will see a sharp surge in what was there 6 months ago, both in terms of the people, like Siddhi was just talking about, and in terms of the CEP market. So tariffs, yeah, anybody's guess. Whether is it not going to have an impact? It will definitely have an impact. But my personal gut says it's going to be short term for countries like us, because we are in the space and wherein we are always there to grow. And even for US, for that matter, we are one of those destinations which are going to end up becoming the next consuming nations, right? So it is also in their interest to look at us from that perspective. Yeah, that's my thought.
Thank you. Suresh, Tapan, you have any quick comments? I know, Tapan, you have to leave in any way. We have to close the session.
Yeah, just a quick one on this. So during COVID, it was a different kind of a disruption because I think countries were getting a lot protectionism. So they started to have inventory of more than what they usually have because they were fearing that, they will not get products from other countries. So that again led to a massive supply chain disruption, But now the situation is that the entire SEM landscape is changing almost every day, right? So it is all about agility. It's all about ability to use technology and to be able to respond very quickly to opportunities in the market, like he was talking about. And I'm sure the world kind of will get used to this disruption very quickly, and things will get better.
Tapan, any comments?
Okay, I'll make one final comment on this. Yes, there'll be ripples across the globe, but I don't expect this really to last for any longer term. I think the origin of these tariff wars is probably even not likely to complete the 4-year term.
Thank you very much. I think despite whatever happening in the globe, seems to be a lot of opportunities, and certainly this IMEC corridor will further business opportunities for all of us. Thank you very much, esteemed panelists, for this insightful discussion. Thank you, organizers of Logistics Shakti, for giving us this opportunity. With this, we come to a close of this session. Thank you.
Thank you to all our speakers and to our moderator for steering this discussion. I request all of you to please remain on stage. I would like to invite on stage Mr. Prem Prakash, Director, Logistics Shakti, and Mr. Narendra Bedi. I request all speakers to please stay on stage for just 2 minutes. I would request Mr. Narendra Bedi, Organizing Committee member, to also please come up on stage. I request Mr. Prem Prakash and Mr. Narendra Bedi to please felicitate our speakers. We thank them for their presence and for sharing their thoughts with everyone. I request you to please present a small gift to our moderator for the session, Mr. Lakshmanan R. A memento and gift for Mr. Suresh Vedanathan, CEO, Ghassan Abood Group. A small token of appreciation for Siddhi Joshi, CEO, eMovers. A memento and gift for Aditya Vikram Kapoor, Head of International Sales, DTDC. And a memento and gift for Mr. Tapan Vaidya, Group Chief Executive Officer, Papa John. We want to thank all our speakers for taking the time to come here and share their thoughts with everyone. I request all of you to please gather for a group photograph. We would also like to thank our gifting partners, Ajmal Gifts, for the very kind gifts they are giving to our speakers on stage. Please give a round of applause to all our speakers on stage, and thank you to our gifting partner, Ajmal Perfumes.